Join me this week as I transform this bathroom with a simple $50 board and batten that anyone can do. Plus, I use this neutral peel and stick wallpaper to really give this space some dimension. Along with that, we're making tons of budget upgrades like changing out the mirror, adding a light fixture, and all the small touches that make your bathroom look designer.
Welcome to my next makeover space, and it is a small bathroom. So this is a full bathroom. It's my kids' bathroom, and I actually did make over this space a few years ago, but I feel like my style has evolved, and I just don't love this really contrasting wall stencil. So this is actually a stencil I did. I feel like the color didn't really come out exactly like I wanted to because there's no windows. It just looks a lot more drab. So we're gonna give this room a great makeover. We're not gonna be doing any major renovations, no tiles. The star of this bathroom is definitely gonna be the wallpaper. I love this cloud print wallpaper that I picked up. It's really subtle and pretty and super affordable too. I'll link it below. So let's get started on this makeover. Okay, here's what we've got going on in this washroom. So we're not changing anything like the vanity or the tiles. I think I might also just change the mirror. This mirror, the wood on it doesn't match with this tone. And maybe I'll add some storage because as you can see, this is always a hot mess. So maybe we'll add some drawers or something in here. Let's see. I want to give this bathroom a whole new look, so I'm going to start from scratch. I'm taking out all the molding, which means I just have to pry it off the wall. This is really therapeutic. I have lived with this bathroom for 2 years and I never liked it. And so now I'm really excited to just redo it and give it a fresh new look. I taped the mirror to prep taking it off and I primed all the walls too. I have to prime these walls because the wallpaper I'm using is white and it's kind of thin and you could see the waves behind it. I've never taken down a mirror by myself, but today we're gonna give it a try. I always do this with my husband, but let's see if I can just get it down and into the hallway. Let's just see. Okay, do you see this clip here? So you actually have to slide it up. So we'll use a primer to do that. And then the mirror can come off. Otherwise the mirror, it's really hard to take the mirror off. Yeah, I've got backup. We're gonna get this mirror down real quick, okay? So he says, let's make these clips. Just wiggle on it. You did it. Yeah. It took like 5 seconds. And that's how it's done. I started off by laying out my wallpaper and measuring the repeat pattern. I want to optimize how much wallpaper I'm using because we're doing board and batten on the bottom and then wallpaper on the top. So I really want to spend as little money as possible, have as little waste with the wallpaper. Cut a few strips to get yourself started. I'm starting in the corner here because this is actually the first wall that you see when you enter into the bathroom, so I want to make sure that this looks the best. When wallpapering, you want to just peel down a little bit at a time. Okay, so let me show you how I join the seams. Now, my one tip I would have is to not be perfect. So don't stretch the paper, just let the paper be because the more you try and work with the paper, it actually gets like stretched and distorted. So before I even peel anything off, you just want to find the seams. You match them and see. So I see that like this is how my seams are gonna line up, okay? So I start off by peeling that side first and making sure it matches, and then I peel the rest of it. Okay, so here I've got like this wrinkle, you guys can see it, right? So no worries, you can always just peel it back, okay? And then I just work my way around the room, remembering that you don't want to be super perfect because the more you work with the wallpaper, the more stretched out it gets. So just kind of let the wallpaper fall. And this is actually a thinner wallpaper, which I liked because it was easier to work with. So I've decided I'm going to do a board and batten pattern. So I need to measure the length of every wall because there's a really good board and batten tool that you can use online to just figure out how big every batten or like the spacing between all of them, because even though it's going to be at different walls, we still want the spacing to be very similar. This is why it's so important to plan your wall. So if I have a outlet here, and I want to put a board. This is actually not going to look good because I'll have to like jigsaw around this, pull this forward. It's a lot of work. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to have one on that far side, and then probably last one's going to be here, and I'm not going to have one here. Same thing on this wall. So there's this outlet here. So I've measured where this is to make sure that there's no board going like directly through, or, you know, just it'll help a lot.
This is how you do a $50 board and batten. Head over to your hardware store and avoid the millwork. Do not go to the trim section, go to the baseboards. They sell these value packs of baseboards. This is a 10 pack for $50, and this is all you need to do a small bathroom. So we're gonna be cutting all of the wall pieces, the boards, on a bevel. And so a bevel is really nice. It's got this nice angle. And this is why, right? So that when you close it up, it's nice and tight, gives you that nice professional finish in there. Don't be intimidated to cut on a bevel. You just have to use the bevel lock on your saw, and it cuts at this really cool angle. The bevel just makes the angles in the corner come together a lot nicer. I also cut all my vertical battens to size as well. It's really important that you measure precisely and that they are the exact same height, otherwise you'll have gaps in your board and batten. Before installing my board and batten, I decided to just give this a fresh coat of paint. I'm not really loving this color. I kind of felt like after I painted it, it just made me feel nauseous. That's what it reminded me of. So I decided to take off everything on the wall, patch all the holes, and just give it a fresh coat of paint. I'm using the same paint color I've used in other places in my home, and I love using the same color because it gives you continuity in your home. So your home feels more designer because you're using less random colors. So I'm using Pewter Green by Sherwin, which is probably my favorite green paint color. I also went for it and I just painted the baseboards too. I'm using a wide spackle knife here to protect my floor so I don't have to tape anything up. I think that white trim doesn't look that good on a dark contrast wall. When you're picking a paint color for the bathroom, make sure you choose something that's wipeable, so I use this satin finish.
We'll definitely have to do another coat of paint. Already, you can just see this feels so much better just toning down that really bright green. Okay, it's time to do a second coat. You can see it's a bit splotchy, which is why you always gotta see the second coat magic. Oh, and obviously here where the mirror was too. I'm gonna paint my board and batten strips. You can paint them when they're on the wall, you can paint them beforehand. I've done it both ways. I think this is gonna be a little bit faster because as you can see, I've laid these out and I'm just gonna use my roller and roll them. The edges I'll actually do once they're up because I still have to caulk it to the wall. So I'll probably just do like the flat surfaces now and then the edges after. I'm ready to install the board and batten. The first thing I've done is brought all my boards up and I've actually laid them out on the wall to see how they would go. Now in a bathroom, it's not exactly gonna be perfect spacing amongst each wall, but you wanna try and get it like within an inch difference on each wall. Now on this side, I've actually used little pieces of tape to mark it. So each piece of tape is like the width of the batten. And I wanted one to be centered behind the faucet and one to also be centered behind the toilet just for symmetry. One of the most common questions I get is, should I use a pin nailer or should I use a brad nailer? And what about all the pipes in this washroom? What if I puncture a pipe? Okay, that is a legitimate concern. So actually, in this bathroom, I'm gonna use a pin nailer. The nails are really, really tiny. Like if they go through the wall, nothing's gonna happen, like they'll just bend. You can also use glue in a washroom. I typically don't like to use glue, but like I totally understand like when you're kneeling behind the toilet, like you're gonna be nervous, right? The other thing is if you want to use a brad nailer, just use a short nail. So like think about how thick your board is, and then drywall is usually ½ inch thick, so don't go thicker than like a 1-inch nail. And if you want an in-depth video of comparing these two and when to use them and how they're different, I've got a video, so I'll link it below.
When starting off your board and batten, you always want to make sure that all your boards are going to be level. So grab your level and get going. Like I said, as I move around the room, I know that every single spacing on each wall is not going to be the exact same, and that's fine because when you step back and look at it, people are not going to be able to tell that it's 1 or 2 inches different. I mean, who's going to come with their measuring tape and check? Now, I think it's personal preference whether you want to attach the vertical battens first or the horizontal board. I think that it's easier to just attach the vertical boards first and then put the batten on top.
I ended up cutting every single one of these short. Like, I had to cut, so I got 1 right, and then I have 7 that are too short. Like, I don't know what happened, because one of them is correct.
Alright, that's just the real side of DIY. Sometimes you make mistakes and you just roll with it. I'm not going to go and buy a whole new pack of boards, so we'll just make do with what we have and fill the gaps later. Totally normal that not all your walls will be level, so some of your boards might end up sitting a little bit further back than the batten or vice versa. So what you want to do is actually just grab some playing cards that you might have lying around. I use my kids' Pokemon cards, and you just shim them underneath until the boards are level. And then you can spackle them and you'll have a really nice finish when you paint them. Be sure to use a P220 grit sandpaper to get a really smooth finish. Don't forget to caulk all your seams, so anywhere where the trim meets the wall, make sure you caulk that just to clean up the edge, and then wipe it clean with a baby wipe so you don't have a lot of caulk and it looks really messy.
So make sure that anywhere where your trim meets your vanity, you take that off.
I'm giving the wall a final coat of paint, so I have to go with my paintbrush and paint anywhere where I had caulk. And then I also rolled another coat on the entire wall just to give it that 3rd coat magic. A couple years ago, I DIY'd this light fixture, and it just doesn't look that good. It's actually just plastic bowls from the dollar store. So I got this inexpensive light fixture from IKEA. I thought that if I'm changing this entire bathroom, let's just do the light fixture too.
I'm going to use the same matte black hooks that I had before because there's literally nothing wrong with them.
Are you team hooks or team towel bar? Let me know in the comments. Recently, we switched to hooks in all of our bathrooms and I love them so much more. They hardly ever fall off and they're always dry. It's time to hang the mirror and I'm a little bit nervous about this.
Okay, I don't know if this is overkill, but I'm going to add a board here and then I'm going to screw it into the stud. And then I'm going to glue the mirror onto this as well as hanging it from this. I hate that the mirror only has 1 point that you hang it from. Like, ideally it should be like 2 points that are equally distributed, but it doesn't have that. So we'll just make do.
Of course, I got my husband to help me hang this, and removing the mirror and replacing it was the right choice. This arch mirror looks so much better.
This is our existing shower curtain, and while there's nothing really wrong with it, it's just not the right length. You want to go for a shower curtain that can be hung as high as possible, so it really draws the eye up and looks more dramatic. There's so much space at the bottom, but also on the top. So just like when you think about hanging a curtain rod, you also want to think about hanging the shower rod higher too.
We have 9-foot ceilings in our house, so I needed my husband to come help me just hang this up. And I'm actually doing this little trick where I'm using 2 curtains to make it look fuller and just way more luxurious and high-end. Remember, this is how our bathroom looked before, and while it wasn't horrible, it just wasn't my style. I didn't feel like it was elevated, but I did so many amazing makeovers in this space, and I love how it turned out. This green paint color is so much more muted and more my style. It's a lot more mature than that bright green that was in here first. And remember, I didn't do any demolition in here. We didn't replace the vanity or the tiles. I just did really simple upgrades like this peel and stick wallpaper and this board and batten and replacing the mirror, and it totally transformed this entire bathroom. If you love this bathroom, make sure to give this video a like and subscribe, and I will see you next time for more budget DIYs.